Well, here we are in Corpus Christi, Texas, and it's with great pleasure and honor that I am sitting here with my good friend and fellow combat veteran, Ricardo Zamora. And Ricardo and I served in Vietnam together in 1969.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ricardo, thank you so much for taking your time out to come and visit with us today.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're going to do is we're just talking a little bit today about your life and about your service in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is it's you're a part. You're a one of all of us. When I'm done with this project, hopefully, we'll have all you guys like a puzzle, and the
Mhm.
puzzle will be complete. You're a piece. I'm a piece. Herrera's a piece. And when you put a puzzle together, they kind of interconnect
Okay.
and so forth. So our stories, it's interesting. Our stories are all this kind of the same but different.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, we were all there at the same time. We went through a lot of the same things, but our point of view, everybody's point of view was different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start by just asking you, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Mathis, Texas. I was raised there. I went to school there too.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about your folks. What was it like growing up?
We were just ordinary, not middle class, a little bit below, but still hanging in there. My dad was a mechanic. My mom was just a homemaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I had 4 brothers and 3 sisters.
And are they close by or?
Well, 2 of them passed away. Well, 2 brothers and 1 sister.
Okay. And are they still close? Are they still around?
Oh yeah, we live in the same town.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you were in high school, there in Mathis,
Mm-hmm.
was anybody talking about the Vietnam War at that time? Was anybody even thinking about the Vietnam War?
Oh yeah.
What was like the high school guys, like you guys? Were you thinking that someday you might actually wind up in Vietnam?
Mm-hmm.
And so did you get drafted or did you volunteer?
I got drafted.
Okay, and what was that? What was your feelings about that when you got that letter?
Well, I couldn't. I had to go.
What are you gonna do, right?
Yeah. There's no way. I mean, I didn't want to go to prison
Yeah,
for one thing.
yeah, and you're too far away from Canada.
Yeah. Damn sure too far away from Canada.
So where were you inducted? Where did you go into the Army?
Oh, in San Antonio.
Okay, and then what basic training fort did you go to?
Fort Bliss.
Okay,
El Paso.
something I've noticed about all the guys in Texas, they all went to Fort Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's kind of like, it's interesting because I was in California and I went to Fort Ord, California.
Okay.
So I mean, it was almost like instead of sending you away, for basic anyway, they let you stay, in the state that you were at.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about basic training. Do you remember the very first day when you drove? They probably bussed you in there, and getting off the bus. What was your reaction when you got
Well,
off that
actually,
bus?
we were bused from right here from Sinton to San Antonio. And from San Antonio, we flew.
Oh, you flew.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think we flew. Yeah.
and then did they put you on buses and haul you over to the fort?
Yeah.
And what was that like when you got off the bus?
At DI, at DI. I remember I had my that. Yeah, that DI was, how they push you out. You get your butt out there, get in formation and all that stuff. Most of them didn't know what formation was.
No, I don't think in my group anybody did.
That's what I'm saying. And it's just get out and.
Did the DI ask anybody if they had any knives or guns or anything like that?
I can't remember. I think they did, but I can't recall real.
Do you remember anybody going up and throwing a knife in the garbage can or anything like that?
No.
So, because a lot of guys I don't think had any idea what they were getting into in basic.
Mm-hmm.
And how long was your hair when you went in?
It wasn't that long. Well, it wasn't that long.
So you got a haircut.
Yeah.
Everybody did.
Oh yeah, they right to the bare skin.
And so, was that kind of a shock? I mean, you're all of a sudden they're changing you.
Yeah.
You're not gonna look the same anymore.
Mm-mm.
And so, do you remember your DI's name?
Uh, he was from Puerto Rico. He was Puerto Rico. He was I can't remember his name. He was real short, but he was
And you know those Puerto Rican DIs were rough.
a mean old rascal.
Oh, they were tough. They were tough
Yeah.
dudes. Yep.
Reese, I think was his last name. Reese.
Okay. And what do you remember specifically about basic training, about what they tried to teach you?
Well, mostly it's getting actually the first week's getting in fit, getting in shape, and all that training they give you know for actually military wise.
Mm-hmm. And were you guys trained on the M16?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, what do you remember specifically? Had you been shooting before you went into the Army? Had you been a hunter, or did you?
No.
So you hadn't shot at that point.
Mm-mm.
What did you think about shooting?
That was pretty good.
I mean, it wasn't something you
No.
didn't feel bad about. You kind of went, hey, this isn't too bad.
No, it was. In fact, I remember that you know how they teach you your horizontals and your
When you're
altitude
zeroing in.
zeroing in, and when you go actually for qualification, they changed all those settings, and I was missing all the targets. And then I remember, damn, I had my numbers in my head. Once I said it real quick, that's when I started to.
Then you were hitting.
Yeah. But I mean, it's that M14 it's a pretty good rifle.
So you started out in basic with M14?
Yeah, M14.
And then AIT, they went to M16.
AIT M16.
Yeah, that's the way it was with me, too.
Yeah.
So, what other training do you remember going through? Do you remember the gas chamber?
Yeah.
What was that like?
That's pretty nasty.
Yeah. And did you think to yourself, well, why are they gassing us? Did you think, why would they do that if we're going to Vietnam, or
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah,
And,
it crosses your mind. I said, damn.
yeah. And then what other training?
That was about it. I mean.
And then they remember when they taught you about night vision,
Yeah.
and they had you in a room or whatever, and it was pitch black,
Mm-hmm.
and then they turned a strobe light
Yeah.
on, and all you could see is red.
Yeah,
Remember?
red. Yeah, they. I think we took that in Fort Ord on AIT. I think.
So you went to Fort Ord,
Yeah, for AIT.
and that's where I was at too.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then I think they took us outside, and it was night,
Mm-hmm.
and they had some guys out there pretty far, and one guy lit up a cigarette, and you could see him way the heck out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they were telling us, this is why you don't ever want to smoke in Vietnam
Yeah, because.
at night. So, and then as training went on, of course, they taught us a lot about marching and
Mm-hmm.
military conduct and
Yeah.
and things like that. So, when you graduated, did any of your folks or anybody come to the graduation for basic?
No, never too far away.
Okay.
From Mathis to El Paso was about 600 miles.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And so about a week before you graduated, they were saying, okay, we're going to give you your orders for what your MOS is going to be.
Mhm.
Did you think you were going to be infantry?
No.
What did you think you would go into?
But actually, what I wanted to do was do mechanic.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your hopes were,
Yeah.
they disappeared when they said Zamora,
Mm.
11B.
Yeah. When I got the orders.
What was going through your mind?
Not much. I said, well, I better get my stuff ready.
And
2
then-
weeks.
and-
I think it was 2 weeks that they gave us.
I'm assuming that El Paso, what time of year was this?
68.
What month?
June.
Okay, so I'm assuming that it was pretty warm, and if I remember correctly, the training was out in the desert, a lot of it. A lot of the training went on and out in the desert. Was it pretty hot?
Oh yeah. Well, actually, when you go qualify for rifle, it's in White Sands, New Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you remember how hot it was?
Oof, that's a hot son of a gun.
Yeah. So but you were from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You were kind of used to that kind of weather.
Yeah.
What was it like when you went to Fort Ord?
Fort Ord was a little. It wasn't that. It was a little cooler. It wasn't that. It wasn't that. You know, on the. It got a lot of mountains, hills, and all that.
Yep. And you're right on the ocean,
Yeah.
so that it would be a lot colder and a lot more humid, I would think. So was that a little different for you to get used to that?
No, because I'm right here. It's humid as hell.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not as. It's not a. You know, in the summertime, it's not as cool as Fort Ord.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here it gets shit close to 100 degrees.
So, where did you wind up in AIT? Do you remember the company that they put you in?
No.
Who was the platoon sergeant there?
I can't even recall. Man.
You can see his face though, can't you?
Oh, yeah.
And wasn't it interesting? They treated you different.
Mm-hmm.
In basic, remember I talked to you about the first day of basic?
Yeah.
The first day of AIT was a lot different.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about AIT.
Well, that one it's it was rough, but it wasn't like basic training. You know that they're mostly teaching you how to use your 50 caliber and all that,
Mm-hmm.
all that high tech stuff they had in those days.
And they taught you how to shoot everything. Actually, we actually went through all the M79.
79.
Yep. Laws rocket.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we got to shoot the M60 machine gun, as I recall.
The M16.
So, and I think another thing different about AIT wasn't, when in basic, you couldn't do much. You couldn't go anywhere, but
No.
AIT, they'd let you go
You had a little more freedom.
a little more freedom, yeah.
Yeah.
And I always thought that, they're actually treating us kind of like human beings now,
Mm-hmm.
and so was there anything, did you have any friends in AIT? Did any of you go, did you have friends that you went in with?
Well, we had 5 guys from the town that went together, and AIT I had me and another guy. The other ones went somewhere else.
Yeah. And do you remember who that was?
Yeah, Flores. Juan Flores was his name.
And what, was he from Mathis?
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're in AIT training. Did they tell you pretty much you're going to Vietnam?
No, but mostly the way they explained everything. I mean, more or less that point of view was showing you that you were heading in that direction.
So they didn't say, well, you might go to Germany.
No.
You knew where you were going. So it got a little bit more serious.
Mm.
Yeah, I remember that as well. And what was the date that you graduated from, or what month was it that you graduated from AIT?
AIT was in November 68.
Okay. And then after that, did they let you go home for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
And how was that?
Pretty good.
Yeah, good to see the family. And
Yeah.
Did your folks give you any advice when they knew you were going to Vietnam? Did your dad have anything to say to you?
No, because he was not in the service. I had an uncle who was in the service.
Did he have anything to say to you?
No, I mean, well, actually, he served here in the States only. He didn't.
I see.
He didn't go to he wasn't World War II era, but he didn't go overseas.
Okay, so you were going to be the first
Yeah.
one in pretty much in your family that was actually going into a war zone.
Yeah, I had another cousin. He was in the Air Force, but he was in Thailand.
Yeah. Okay. And so then, after 2 weeks, I'm assuming you got on a plane and you flew to Oakland,
Yeah,
California.
Oakland. Mm-hmm.
and then from there you got your ticket to go on a plane to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Did it seem like a long flight to you on the way to Vietnam? Did it seem like it took a long time?
Nah, it didn't take that long.
Where did you, what route did you take? Did you go to Alaska or did you go to Hawaii?
Hawaii,
Okay, and how long did they let you sit there?
about an hour, just refuel.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
and then from there, where did you go?
Guam.
Okay, and did you get off the plane there?
Mm-mm.
So basically, they were just dropping off mail and taking on
Mhm.
fuel. And from there, I think you would have probably went to Benoit.
Benoit, yeah.
And so the plane landed, and they opened the door. What was your first impression of Vietnam?
Humid, hot.
Anything else? When you got off the plane and took your first step on the ground,
No.
was there an unusual smell about Vietnam?
Well, yeah, it just stinks, you know. It's
Yeah. And little did you and I know the reason for that. We didn't know that they were burning human feces, you know, we didn't know that
No.
we didn't know anything about that at that point.
No.
But, so then, from Benoit, they bust you over to Long Ben. And that's where you would be for a couple of days, remember, before you got your orders?
Yeah, we were there 5 days. We took that orientation
Okay.
and tunnels and Kushi.
Did you know at that point that you were gonna be in the Wolfhounds?
No.
And, so, after that 5 days, then you found out you were actually gonna be in the second of the 27th
Mhm.
and so forth, and Charlie Company.
Yeah.
What was it like going from Long Ben to Cu Chi on that truck drive?
I can't remember that much, but it was kind of rough, bumpy.
And did you notice, did you feel kind of funny that they told you that they were gonna be taking you guys through these villages and that once in a
Mhm.
while they got ambushed? And did you feel funny that you didn't have a weapon?
Yeah.
That was one of my first impressions is
Mhm.
why? Why are we going through there and we can't even shoot back? But
Mhm.
luckily on my trip, we didn't have any trouble.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you got to Charlie Company, what happened when you got off that truck?
We thought it was incoming, but it was outgoing. And they were, yeah, Chile was going on, and we thought it was incoming, so we would jump out of the truck, you know, but it was going out instead of in.
But it was a wake up call.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like all of a sudden I'm actually in Vietnam and
Mhm.
there's actually explosions going on here.
Mhm.
And you know, as I remember, it's very difficult to try to get that straight, you know, in your mind, because now it's not AIT
Oh no,
and it's not basic. Now you're actually
it's the real stuff.
in a place where you could just get killed, you
Yeah.
know. And so when you found out you were with Charlie Company, where was the unit? Where was the unit when you got there?
I can't remember that much. I know that in December we were stationed protecting a bridge of some kind.
Okay, and that would have been in December, right?
Yeah.
That would have been Trang Bang.
Yeah.
So, do you remember going and joining the platoon right at that point? Who did you meet when you went into the platoon?
I can't remember that. So many years, man. It just, I mean, it's.
Did anybody take you aside and say, "Hey, you know, I need to tell you some stuff about what we're
Mhm.
doing here and how to survive Vietnam"?
Yeah.
Do you remember who some of your buddies were at that point?
No, I don't. I know that somewhere in between, that's where I met a guy that got killed there in Diamond One. A guy from Galveston, Roberto Mora.
Mora,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting question too. You knew Mora,
Mm-hmm.
pretty good friends with him, and then he gets killed.
Yeah.
How did that affect you, or how did that make you feel?
Well, it made me feel bad, but I mean, Well, a lot of them got killed, and most of the guys I couldn't recall. I probably knew him, but that guy I knew more about him than because we used to, hang around.
Mm-hmm. And did it give you even more of a sense of? Would you say that it caused you to have fear?
Oh yeah.
And that kind of was just with you pretty much all the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. And when you went in, what were you assigned to do? What was your job in the platoon?
I was a ammo barrier.
For an M60,
Mm-hmm.
and then so you were carrying an M16.
Yeah, M60.
Okay. And do you remember the very, very first time you went on your first night ambush patrol?
No,
Do you remember ever going on night ambush?
oh yeah. Yeah, almost probably 2-3 times a week.
Yeah, every other day probably.
Yeah.
Because as I remember, we did ambush patrol and then we did day sweeps, ambush
Yeah.
patrol, day sweeps.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so as time went on, who were some of the guys that you became pretty close with?
When mostly it was a Bogart, another guy from North Dakota. I think he was a real big guy. Can't remember his name. And we had a guy from Oregon, and another guy from South Carolina. He was a little chubby, little bald-headed. Yeah, and we had a guy from Lubbock, Texas. He was a machine gunner. And he was actually he was a school teacher when he got drafted.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So he was older than
Oh yeah.
he was older than the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was about 28,
Yeah.
29.
Did you call him the old man?
No, but he was a lot older than we were.
And do you remember who the medic was at that time?
No, the only medic I remember was Flores.
Okay.
Yeah, Doc Flores.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was with us for quite a long
Yeah.
pretty good amount of time. And so, what was the very first time that you got into a firefight?
Well, actually, that's when we were the LP right there before Diamond One. On that, me and two other guys.
Why don't you describe that day and how that all came about?
Well, we were sent over as LPs. I don't know how far we were from the base. Not that far.
And LP, just for somebody watching, is a listening post.
Listening post.
And what's the purpose of that?
To alert the main forces on the fire support base of the activity outside the gate.
Okay. Okay. And so, do you remember specifically when nightfall came and you left the wire and so forth? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we left the wire when it was dark, and I was about to take a little rest. That's when those guys. It wasn't probably not even a minute, and I told them that people coming.
Did you guys have a starlight?
I don't know. We had one. We probably did.
And so that's when one of the guys was looking out there and they said, "Hey, I see something moving," or...
Well, actually, we saw it. I think the moon was out at that time.
Okay.
We saw the shadow and the reflection there, the background of it.
And had you set up yet? I mean, had you...
Oh,
guys,
yeah.
So you guys were waiting and
Yeah,
listening and...
Yeah, we're set up already.
So how far away was this guy or these people that were coming towards you?
I was about 60 feet, I guess.
So were you thinking, I better shoot him?
Yeah.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
So you guys opened up.
Mm-hmm.
Then what happened?
That's when they radio in and we told them we were coming in. We were coming in because we saw some activity going on. And we just left. And I don't remember how we actually they opened the gate or something. You know.
Were you afraid that you were going to get shot from the fire support base?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because all the guys were already alerted.
Oh yeah. And so you got back in the fire support base. Then what happened?
We stayed in the bunker. I think we were 3 or 4 guys in the bunker. We were not that far from that other bunker where they threw that Bangalore torpedo. Those guys got killed. I think we were in the, I don't know what. That base wasn't that big. I mean,
Yeah. And then did all hell break loose?
yeah,
Rockets,
RPGs and everything was flying around.
mortars.
Yeah. That's when they hit. I think they hit the observation tower, and they hit the. I think the barber got killed too there. I think they got hit on the compound.
So do you remember, were you guys pretty much fighting for your life at that point?
Mm-hmm.
It was a pretty bad gun battle, wasn't it? Pretty bad
Yeah.
shootout. And how long do you remember that lasted? All night?
Yeah, probably about 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And do you remember gunships and Cobras and it was pretty chaotic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At any time during that night did you think, this could be it for me, this might be it?
Oh yeah. You don't sleep in those things, and there's no sleeping around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did any of your guys get killed that night?
No, not in my bunker. We only had those guys where they hit that torpedo that guy threw in that.
And then they started throwing satchel charges
Yeah.
in the bunkers.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys leave the bunker and get out and start shooting?
No, we stayed there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were shooting out of the portholes
Yeah.
and so forth. And do you remember who the guys were that were with you that night?
No, I don't.
Were they the 3 guys were they the listening post guys or somebody different, do you think?
I think they were the same guys.
Okay. And then what was your, when it slowed down, when the sun started coming up, when you guys did get out of the bunker, what did you see?
I saw they had some of those Vietnamese in there that were fully naked. That I don't know if they were dead or just passed away or something.
Did you see it that everything had been, a lot of stuff was blown up and
Mm-hmm.
and so what were your feelings at that point?
Real low. I mean, you still you realize that you're in hellhole, I guess.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
And what then did you? I believe we had to rebuild the base, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were going to make us stay there.
Yeah.
And what did you think? This is kind of a suicide deal to stay here again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody thought that. So did you have to help rebuild the blown up bunkers and all that kind of stuff? And then, as I recall, that night it happened again. And this time though, I think we were better prepared, and
Yeah.
I think they had more gunships on right there. You know, the first night it took a while for gunships to show up and that. So this second night, I think they had everything ready to go.
Yeah.
And so then, do you remember after that second night where we ended up going after that?
No, I know we stayed there a while, and we had one of those lights, those infrareds. But after that, we didn't see too much activity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long that base, I mean, that fire support was. I don't know when they tore it down or.
But then we moved out of there.
Yeah.
And then because they did take it down.
Yeah.
And then they told us, well, guess what? We're going to go build another one, and we're going to call it Diamond 2. Except this time we're going to get you guys a little closer to the Cambodian border.
Yeah.
What were your feelings about that?
It was pretty bad.
Crazy,
Yeah.
you know?
I guess we were put in there as a bait.
Yes. Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And of course, they tried to overrun Diamond too. I mean,
Mhm.
so basically the same thing was happening over and over again.
Yeah.
And would you say that might have been some of the worst that you'd seen in Vietnam at that point?
Probably so.
And how long had you been there? When did you get in Vietnam?
November.
So you were there November, December, so 4 months. You were a
Mm.
4 monther at that
4
time.
months,
So
yeah.
you had some experience under your belt,
Yeah.
but nothing like that.
Mm-mm.
So do you remember the first time you guys went out and somebody stepped on a booby trap?
Well, when that guy stepped, well, we had quite a few that stepped on a mine. I think we had I don't know, it was the lieutenant that stepped on a mine when we were in Diamond 1, I think. And I don't know if he got killed or.
Were you guys out on a day riff?
Mm-hmm.
And then of course then the medevac, they come
Yeah.
in and so forth. And so at 4 months you're starting to probably think maybe my number's up.
Yeah.
I mean, because how many guys did you know that got wounded or killed before, I mean, that hadn't even been there a month or 2 months? You know, I
Mhm.
mean, a lot of guys,
Oh yeah.
you know, so the older, I say older, the longer you were in Vietnam, it seemed like
Mm-hmm.
we started getting more nervous.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way as well?
Oh yeah.
You know, just
Mm.
kind of like, I wonder if my luck is gonna,
Yeah. Run out.
yeah. And do you remember who your platoon sergeant was during Diamond and during that time?
Platoon sergeant. I had so many. I had so many. I mean, one of those sergeants that was, you know, those that go 6 weeks. And
Oh,
they-
the instant NCOs?
instant NCO,
the shake and bakes?
the shake and bakes. But names I can't recall. It's been so long that
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to remember names.
Yeah. And then, did you get to take an R&R?
Yeah,
And where did you go?
I went to Bangkok, Thailand.
And what was that like?
That's pretty good.
Do you remember any of the, you know, what it was like to be out of Vietnam and actually
Oh
not having to worry about?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how long did you stay there?
5 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, now you weren't married at that point, right?
No.
And were you engaged or anything before you
Um,
went to Vietnam?
No.
So you didn't have any girlfriends to write home to.
No.
So you didn't have to worry about Jody.
Mm-mm.
Did you ever have any of the guys that you were with that got a Dear John letter or had their girlfriend back home write them and say, hey, your best friend didn't go and he's here and you're there? And do you remember anything like that happening to any of the?
No.
Because that happened a lot.
Oh yeah.
You know, a lot of
Mhm.
guys. And
I have read a lot about this. But,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
so okay, so now we're back to the war again. And I believe you. What month did you take R&R?
that was in July.
So about July.
That's when they landed. They said they landed on the moon. That was a week.
Oh yeah, the moon landing. Yeah,
lunar landing. Yeah.
I believe we were up at Shamrock at that time.
Yeah.
Do you remember Shamrock?
Mm-hmm.
What specifically do you remember about that?
Shamrock.
That's where they had all the booby traps around the place, and
Yeah.
the hedgerow was right up next to the wire.
Mhm.
Remember that?
Yeah. I know it was stationed close to a river one time. I don't know if that's the one.
What happened there?
Not much. Actually, that's where we went in a lot of those, what do you call those boats?
That go up and down the river.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we didn't. It's one of those things that flap there.
Did you ever get to do any shooting when you were on the river?
No, not in the river.
So they didn't.
No.
They didn't get ambushed
Mm-mm.
or anything like that.
No.
I kind of enjoyed running those boats.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was kind of fun going up and down.
Mm.
The thing I didn't like is when they got word that there was movement someplace, and then
Yeah.
they dived that thing right into the shore, and we had to
To get out.
get off and go
Yeah.
sweep. That I really didn't like that,
Yeah.
because you were going into someplace you had nowhere
Yeah.
where it was at.
Mm.
And so after Shamrock, let's see, this is now July, August, September. A lot of time spent up on the Cambodian border, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
Parrot's Beak, Fish Hook, in that area. Do you
Yeah.
remember going out on those, on like 7-day, where you'd be out for 7 days,
Mm-hmm.
and then ambush at night, and then go during the day, and then they'd bring stuff out in the helicopters, remember,
Yeah.
sea rations and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Do you remember any action, anything going on up there particularly?
No.
Okay. And so as you started to get towards the end, when you were getting short,
Mm-hmm.
where were you at that point? What were you thinking?
I mean, it's in close. I mean,
What was the short timers feeling?
it's kind of hard to describe, you know, but it's a feeling where you got, you know, take care of yourself, and mostly everybody, you know, but mostly
No,
yourself.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because it was almost like a superstition.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm going to get it in the last
Mhm.
3 weeks. Of my,
I don't, yeah.
when did you get to go offline? When did they take you offline and let you go back to Kuchi?
Well, I didn't go to Kushi. I think I was offline probably about 3 weeks after, close to where I was going to leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me about the day that you were out on a day riff and Sergeant Brando had come over and was your platoon sergeant,
Yeah.
and Vladimir Hanchar was his RTO.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about what that day looked like.
Well, we were in a sweep that time, and that's when he hit that booby trap, and I don't know how far I was from him, you know, but probably you couldn't be real close to the next body, you know, it had to be about 15 or 20.
Mm-hmm.
20 feet, something like that. That's what we had a sergeant that would always stress that out, not to bundle up. That's the sergeant we had when we were in Diamond 1.
Okay.
I can't remember his name. But actually, he got shot in his helmet. He had a bullet penetrate right in the side.
Didn't hit him though.
No. It just went in, you know, you got your
Sure.
space like that, and
Sure.
it went in and just came out.
What do you remember about when Brandau stepped on the booby trap? And Vladimir, he got hurt on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And did you get a piece of the trap?
Yeah.
You got a piece of it. And as I recall, weren't you guys pretty close to being back to the fire support base?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I talked to Sergeant Brando, he said, you know, you could see the fire support base.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't thinking this would be a place where there'd be any booby traps.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know that he lost his leg over that deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then, excuse me.
Yeah, that's what they told us, you know, when he got chipped out, that he had lost his I don't know, his foot or his leg,
Mm-hmm.
part of his leg.
And of course, that's just one more thing that added to your
Mm-hmm.
stress and so forth. And did you get any? Did you go back into Kuchi after that, or?
Well, just then, but I mean, I think it was 1 day or 2 maybe,
Okay.
and they chipped us out.
Okay. And then, do you remember the time when you actually were told you're going home.
Yeah.
And so then they brought you back to Coochie, and you had to go
Mhm.
go around and get all the things signed off.
Paperwork done, everything done.
Yeah.
Cut your hair and it.
And
Yeah.
what was your feeling about that? Did you think, holy smokes?
I'm ready.
I mean, did you look back and think, I've been here a year?
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got on a plane to come home. That was pretty memorable, I think.
Oh yeah.
And you landed in Oakland.
No, we went to Japan,
Okay.
and from Japan we went to Alaska,
Okay.
and then from Alaska we, I think it was in Oakland.
And then you were home.
Yeah.
And what was your feelings when you stepped off the plane and you were back on American soil?
Felt good.
And did your folks know you were coming? And had you told them you were when you were
Mhm.
going to be back? And
Yeah.
so I'm assuming your mom was pretty happy about that.
Oh yeah.
So, and from there, how did you get back to Mathis, Texas?
I think yeah, I flew. It was late at night, and that airport in Oakland, you know, it's like the one here in Corpus, not that big.
Yes.
Well, at that time wasn't that big.
Right. Right.
And they had to close it down, so the taxi driver had to drive me all the way to. That's the first time I crossed the Golden Gate.
Oh,
Or it
yeah.
was-
Okay.
Night, I didn't see that much. You know, it was a night
Sure.
to cross to San Francisco. That's where I took the flight to Dallas, and from Dallas to Corpus.
Okay. And what was it like when you actually got home? What was the greeting like from the family and stuff?
It was pretty awesome.
Did they put a little welcome home party on for
Oh
you?
yeah.
All the relatives
Mm,
come and so forth.
yeah.
And so now you're home. You're a single guy. How long did it take you before you got a job? Or wait a minute, did you have 6 months to go in the service before you were out?
Yeah, I had to go to.
I was going to ask you about that. Where did you go?
I was at an oil station over in Colorado, Fort Carson.
Oh, Carson, yeah.
Yeah,
What did you think of that?
that was pretty nice. Yeah.
And what job did they give you to do there?
Well, actually, that's Fifth Army. It's mechanized. I learned how to drive those
Personnel carriers?
yeah, personal carriers.
So after being out of Vietnam, that was probably fun.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was probably like, hey,
Yeah.
but not so much fun that you'd re-enlist.
No. No, I mean it. I don't know. I mean it's not like today. You know, today you gotta go multiple times.
Yeah.
Tours is at that time, like, unless you actually win volunteer.
You re-upped, yeah.
Yeah, if you volunteer, they'll send you back more there. But
Okay, so then you get done there and you come back to Mathis. What did you end up doing when you got back home as a civilian?
I was just working odd jobs, and when I came, I think I got out in June. That was about a month off. I mean, and then in August the 3rd, we had a hurricane. Hurricane Celia here, man.
Had you
So-
ever seen a hurricane before?
Oh yeah, but not actually. Like, we were there. We were in the eye,
Oh man.
right there in Matthew.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
What do you do? Just hunker down? I mean, what kind of person do in that case?
but we had to hunker down because we only had one car, and there's no way a big family's gonna fit in a damn little car. So we stayed in an old theater my uncle had, and the only thing it tore down was a Porsche. But we knew it was the eye, because when the eye goes through, everything is real still. You can see the birds and the sun,
Mm.
and you know, I mean, it's like it's normal.
Yeah.
And then you got the wind from the other direction coming in, and then it's another. Good thing about it, it was a dry area. It didn't rain that much.
Mm-hmm.
It I think it started about in the afternoon, and by midnight it was all over.
Yeah, that seemed like a long time though, I'll bet.
Oh yeah, it was about 6, 7 hours.
Yeah. And
Wow.
so you were doing odd jobs,
Yeah.
and when did, I'm assuming you met Rosa sometime or another.
No, I met her when I was working over in Glenrose on nuclear plant.
You hadn't been married before Rosa, had you?
No.
So she was your first,
Yeah.
okay. And so what attracted you to her?
I mean, she's real intelligent and knows a lot about a lot of stuff, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you met her what, at a party or a restaurant or?
No, that's somebody introduced him to me.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
you got introduced.
Yeah.
Okay. And that turned out to be a pretty good deal, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So how long did you guys go together before you?
She had about 4 months, I guess.
Okay. And then did you ask her to get married? And
Yeah.
what was her thinking on that?
Nice. She wanted to get married.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how long after that did you have your first kid?
That was in 90.
And that was a little girl,
Yeah.
and her name?
Roxanne.
Okay. And then you had more kids?
Yeah, I had another one. Adriana in 92.
Okay.
And my last one was in 94.
Okay. So
Lucero.
and the third kid's name is
Lucero.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got what?
Three girls.
Oh, three girls, yeah.
Mhm.
What was that like growing up or living in a household of all women?
Oh man, that's a different world.
Did it take a while for you to get your turn in the bathroom?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good.
So, and then when I found you, and I came to Mathis, I know the girls were just, I don't know, I suppose, what, 12, 13 years old
Yeah.
or something like that.
Mhm.
And of course, I think Rosa was working at the school
Yeah.
and so forth. And then as the years gone by, guess what? Those girls grew up.
Oh yeah.
And then they left home and got married.
Yeah. Two of them are married.
And,
The old one is still in school. She's gonna be a registered nurse.
oh, good.
Yeah, probably this year she's gonna graduate in May, I think.
And so
Not May, August.
you got some grandkids?
Yeah, I got 3.
And all from the same
No,
daughter?
the middle one's got 2 and the youngest got 1.
Okay.
Expected another one in November, I think.
What was it like when all the girls were gone and it was just you and Rosa in the house?
Kind of quiet.
Was it like weird?
Mm-hmm.
Did you miss them?
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of like, you know, you always want to see them grow up and
Mhm.
go, but once they're gone, it's kind of a different,
Oh yeah, a different deal.
yeah. So, and now you have fun taking care of the grandkids
Mhm.
and interacting with them and so forth.
Yeah.
When you married Rosa, what were you doing for a living?
I'm a welder.
Okay.
Oh,
And what kind of job? Did you go to school for welding, or how did you get involved in that career?
yeah, I went to school here in Del Mar, here
Okay.
in Corpus.
And then pretty much were you a welder for your career? Was that
Mhm.
what you did?
Yeah.
And what kind of welding did you work on?
Structural pipe, process pipe,
And
Stainless
I think
steel.
refineries.
refineries.
And now, as far as physical, was that pretty physical work? I mean, was that heavy labor?
Oh yeah.
So it's always when
Mhm.
you're dealing with pipe and everything, it's just always.
A lot of climbing.
How did that affect your overall health and your body and stuff over the years?
Well, most of it was actually not affected by the work. It was just like this was affected by the arthritis, you know. That chewed up all the cartilage there. But maybe in the long run it did probably.
Yeah, yeah, because that was hard work.
Yeah.
And then when did you retire from welding?
The last time I actually worked with a company was in January of 2016,
Okay.
just 1 month.
And then what have you done since retirement?
I haven't done too much. I mean, I do a little welding there in the house, but not not that much.
Okay. And so have you enjoyed retirement?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And now Rosa, did you say she is retired or she's going to retire?
No, she's retired already.
Oh, she is.
Mhm.
And how does she enjoy it?
Pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
And so overall, since the, so how old were you when you got drafted again?
I was 20, I think.
So 20 years old, 50 years later, you and I are sitting here in Corpus Christi, where it all began.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You've kind of had a life of it. I mean, you've had a full life, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Thank
You
God.
know, do you ever regret serving in the Army?
Oh, no. No.
And that brings us to one of my final questions. And what does the American flag mean to you?
Means a lot, It symbolizes a lot, but people trash it now that I don't know what's in their mind. I don't know what they're thinking about. All they think is that they're trying to create this socialism, and they see Venezuela as corrupted as hell, and still they don't understand. Those political figures, are weird. It's they see all this stuff around the world, and they still want to get all that to the people's mind, and a lot of young people are actually falling to it.
I don't understand it myself.
Yeah, and it's, my wife tells me, man, you can go nuts when it's, well, I might go nuts, but it's a fact, It's
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't know where they get their news from that they actually fall into this propaganda. All these people are actually preaching, I don't know.
And a lot of it's not even close to the truth.
No,
I mean, it's just out and out lies, basically.
that's all it is. If you believe all that stuff they're telling you, I don't know. You're not in this world, I guess.
Yep. Either that or you're living in a different
Yeah.
mindset. You're way out there somewhere.
Or you're high in some kind of drug or something.
Yeah. Ricardo, what is your definition of a hero?
I'm a hero. That's a person that actually, well, everybody's a hero that actually was over there, because they had the guts and everything. But a hero, are people that are gone already. That are actually died, for the principle of this country, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people are actually trashing, all these people that are, I don't know, it's kind of hard.
It's kind of like what used to be respected is not respected anymore.
No, it's a little bit more. It's like in when we were coming from Vietnam, it was worse. A lot of people said they got spit on and everything.
Yeah.
I didn't get spit on. I didn't see it, but most of it, I think it was in big cities, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, and I believe those people that said that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of guys said that, or in Nam, they told them not to actually, at the end of the war, they're not to have any weapons. So, they actually had to sign a consent. That's what a guy was telling me that from Mathis, that he'd sign a paper that he was not gonna shoot until you actually sees his white of his eyes that you could shoot. Ah, damn.
Wow.
I said, I don't know. They never did tell us that.
Yeah. I never heard that either.
Yeah, and one guy that when I was working in Glen Rose told me that they actually told him not to. They had a ceasefire. Probably the end of the war, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were those Paris peace talks, I guess.
Yep.
So
What have I not covered about your time in Vietnam? What happened to you or with you or an event that really you've lived with your whole life since Vietnam?
we had that one where that guy actually lost it when the artillery just started hitting close to us, incoming. I think the radio man gave a bad location on the map,
Mm-hmm.
and we actually had a lot of artillery. I don't know. You could hear those pieces of shrapnel hitting the ground real close.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of that guy that actually started yelling and all that.
So was that somebody that got wounded from it?
No, he didn't get wounded, but he just lost it, you know.
Oh, yeah.
He thought he was going to get... But instead of hunkering down, he started yelling and jumping.
Yeah. So he did. He lost it.
Yeah.
In a final moment here before we're done, I'd like you to just look into the camera,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got daughters, and you've got grandbabies, and you're going to have more grandbabies, and
Mhm.
they're going to have children. So when you and I are long gone,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to look into that camera, and I want to have you give those future generations and those kids your best advice.
Well, my best advice would be to stay in school and keep up your grades and learn a trade or learn something, because this is what this world is nowadays. And if you can learn something more advanced than a trade school, I mean, it's even better. Something that actually you don't have to be out there, because we got all these people coming in and taking advantage of all these opportunities, and people around here that actually are not actually using all this stuff, all these resources, and you gotta get in there and do something with your life,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean it's a hard world, and it's getting harder every day. It's not like the old days anymore. And that's all I have to say. I mean, it's
Ricardo, buddy, thank you for coming today,
Mhm.
and thank you for always being there in Vietnam.
Likewise.
And you know what, buddy? Don't ever forget.
Oh no.
Don't forget
Mm-mm.
what we did and what we were all about, okay?
No, I never will.
Okay,
It's-
buddy. Well,
it's-
and I appreciate you so much.
Okay, me too.